Sounds
Hey,
good.
everybody. It is another episode of A Piece of Molly's Mind, the podcast that you never knew you needed. And I am so excited to welcome Toby and Melanie Maloney to the show here. And I met you, Toby, when, I'm going to venture to say 2016, maybe 16 or 17. Would that be about right? When you started working with Enos?
That would
Yeah,
have been about the
yeah,
time.
yes, that
Okay.
sounds right.
Do you even remember? You came into the chamber office. I was the director of the Scrim Valley Chamber at the time, and you were helping her with a new business called Sweet Designs. And you were just kind of asking if you thought her joining the chamber was a good thing. And I think, are you still, is she
Yes,
still a
yes,
member? Okay.
we're still members, and I always looked at your leadership of the chamber because we know different chambers, and I always felt in your hands the energy, the inventiveness, the tenacity, all of those were good business qualities
Oh.
that you don't see everywhere. And I think some people have that. And that's why I reached out because I thought this is on the ball, active chambership, membership, and time, as you know, for any entrepreneur is crucial. How do you spend your time? There's so many things to do. And I thought it was a good bet in terms of
Oh, well,
going
that's
But
involved.
neat.
but there's an interesting backstory about Sweet Designs. Sweet Designs itself is not a new business. In fact, Inez Rayner just celebrated 30 years in business.
Oh my gosh.
But it was new to us at that point because after we left corporate life and after we sold Mental Floss, we jumped into the entrepreneurial world and we love to help small businesses. But Toby was looking for a way to make a candy bar. And he was calling chocolatiers all over the area. And Sweet Designs, Inez at Sweet Designs was the last one that he called. And she basically said, "You don't want to do that. It's just too hard. You really don't want to do that." But we both fell in love with Inez. She's a wonderful, wonderful person. And we ended up working with her. So we're business advisors and actually worked in her business. Really, until this day, we're still helping out.
Yeah, and on the business side,
Right.
not on
Not on the selling candy making.
Right.
you're,
Right.
you're
So
learning all of that.
that's so I got to break down because you just shared a lot and we need to break it all down. First of all, thank you for your kind words. I appreciate that. I feel the same way about you, and it's an honor to come from you because you guys have done so much in the business world, which we'll get into. Before we get into all that stuff, I want to have our viewers understand a little bit of the background with you guys. You grew up in Pennsylvania, Toby. I know that. Melanie, where did you also grow up in Pennsylvania?
Finger Lakes area of central New York.
Okay. All
Mhm.
right.
We met in Pennsylvania.
Okay. I feel that the world started in Pennsylvania. That's my take. I feel it started and then just everything trickled down and created the United States. I mean, because everybody's from Pennsylvania except Melanie and myself. But
Yes.
you were just part of that. We were part of the trickle, but everybody else
Yeah.
was
Right.
Pennsylvania. Okay, so I mean, Willy Wonka didn't come out until the 80s, but the book had been out. Did you have an infatuation with Willy Wonka? What's the chocolate connection? Because we're going to get into the new Toby bar. You obviously have a chocolate connection, Toby. What
Yeah,
started that?
the connection was my father had Isley Dairy Store franchises. He owned a couple of those. And I had ready access to Clark bars. And as a child, I consumed an inordinate amount of Clark bars. They were delicious. There was a supply coming in all the time at the store. And I thought, this is really good. And I'm pretty loyal to things I like.
Hmm.
And Clark bars were one of them. And that influenced. Melanie, do you want to pick up the story?
So at one, Clark Bar is from Pittsburgh. And at
Okay.
one point, Clark Bar Company was for sale, and Toby was thinking about buying it. But
Years ago.
yeah, but things happened, and we just never got involved in that. But he never kind of lost that feeling like, damn, I really should have bought Clark Bar Company. So fast forward through many iterations, and he decided, well, what the heck? I mean, I can make my own candy bars.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who owns the Clark bar? Is it Clark? It's is it Mars? Is it
Now it's owned
Boyer.
Boyer
okay?
in Altoona, PA, owns the rights to it, and it is back. The Clark Bar is back. It's had a very interesting history of ups and downs. And when I was looking at it, and an Irish immigrant started it in Pittsburgh, um, but it's back and it's available. Um, but it's what I grew up liking. And I thought, well, I should try. And that's where Melanie can say how we met Inez.
Well, that's where we called because we were trying to get somebody to help manufacture it for us. So,
Okay, which you did not share with me when that was a secret, I guess, because I mean that would have been the same time we met,
but she had
right?
already talked Toby out of doing it because she thought a single candy bar was just too difficult. And so Toby sort of put that on the back burner until very recently when he said, I still wanted to do this. So it's only probably 2 years ago that that flame
Okay,
got rekindled. Yeah.
And I
okay,
would say our thinking evolved, my thinking, Melanie's thinking, because originally I was thinking of a standard size candy bar. And Inez did dissuade me and say, you don't really want to do it, too competitive, blah, blah, blah. But I thought a mini bar in a pouch, which makes it portable. So if you're out with your family, you could have a pouch of Toby bars. And we wrap them intentionally because of COVID and everything. That if you want to put your hand in the pouch and take one out, that's more hygienic.
Yeah.
And we also think because people are more thoughtful about food they consume, that a smaller portion would be good. Or if you're a parent and putting candy bar into your child's lunchbox, you're not giving them a big fat candy bar. You're giving them a little candy bar.
folks,
Yes.
this is what we're
Yeah.
talking about. And
Yep.
although I appreciate what Toby is saying, when obviously we can tell by the packaging here, folks, that, um, yeah, it's all great to have one, but are you really going to have one? I don't think
That
so.
We
No,
run into that quite a bit.
that
so
fortunately is, and Melanie could share what just happened 2 days ago with our neighbor.
We have some brand new neighbors, and we decided to bring them over, obviously, some sweet treats. So we took over some sweet designs and we took over a pouch of Toby bars. And the next thing you know, the woman is texting me saying, I just ordered 12. We ate them all.
They ate them
So we hope
all.
yes.
It's
Well, folks, or actually, Melanie dropped it off, right? You dropped off this
yes.
bag to the inn. Obviously, the rumbling got to my office, from the staff, like, oh my gosh, look what Molly got dropped off, blah blah blah. So they didn't, there's seven in here, so that went. But what I love about them, I was actually. And now I have to go get a Clark bar to make my comparison because I was putting it to a Butterfinger. But,
Yes.
and no disrespect to whoever owns Butterfinger. I can't think of, it's not Mars. I did research this because I didn't want to offend them in any way. But no disrespect to them, but this is way better than a Butterfinger because it doesn't get stuck in the Butterfinger always got stuck, it gets stuck in your teeth. This does not, it has the same flavor and taste, but it doesn't. And the chocolate is, I'm a chocolate snob. Um, The chocolate is so good. Like it's so I can't say enough. All right. But we're so fast forward. We need to zoom on back. I want to know how much was a Clark bar when you were stealing them off the shelf at your dad's place?
I want to say they were 5 cents, 5
5 cents.
cents or 10 cents
Did you have to
when I
work for them?
started. Yeah, yeah, it was. But we all worked in my father's store growing up. I was his worst employee. I really wasn't very good. And I think how patient he must have been because, he owns the business and one of your children isn't exactly a star at
Well,
it.
what does that mean? Because obviously you're phenomenal at business. So did you just want to be in the back
Oh,
with
yeah, I liked, you'll laugh, but it's true. I liked cleaning the tables in his store because that was something I could do. It was measurable. I like working in the kitchen, doing the dishes with a high powered dishwashing machine. And it was a very busy business and you had to keep up. So you couldn't be sleepy. I didn't care so much for making skyscraper ice cream cones because they were a specialty for Isley's. Any old time Isley fans will talk about it. You had to get it centered in the cone just right. And when I made them, I wasn't as good as getting it centered. Or if people came in to get chipped ham, which still is sold at Giant Eagle and a lot of
yes,
places, um, I
chip
hated
chop,
wrapping them.
chip
Yeah,
chop ham.
I didn't like wrapping the paper because you had to get it to come out neat and the customer. And I'm a teenage sort of shy kid in some ways, and the people were waiting. And I had a brother who was really good at it. He could do all of that better than I. Um, so I was happy. Hey, let me just work in the kitchen. I'll be glad to do it, or unload the truck, or that kind of stuff.
Which are jobs
Yeah,
in a restaurant or a store that are the ones that nobody wants. So
right, right. I was happy to do it. I mean
yeah.
that part I liked most, but I did not, particularly as teen years. I didn't particularly like waiting on people where I would screw up, and I could tell you stories you wouldn't believe of things I did, like you know not putting the banana in the banana split. I mean, just ridiculous things. I think, and my dad would never holler, but he would just politely say, "Now you won't do that again, will you?" I go, "Oh no, Dad." And here, 60 years later, I'm still telling the stories. Nope, I'm not going to do that. He
Well,
was
it
very
sounds
patient.
like you like results, right? You like
Yes,
instant
yes,
results. You like to find the problem, do the solution, and then be done with that situation.
yes.
Cleaning a table, doing the dishes there's an end result and it's a very quick end result.
And it's
I grew up, my mom was a single mom. My dad died when I was very, very young and she was a widow at 32 with 4 kids. We were two,
wow.
4, 6, and 8. We would have chip chop ham and barbecue sauce.
Yes.
And she would do that, and then I would put that on. She would put that on sandwiches. It was kind of like the bologna, but maybe a little higher
Yeah.
higher class.
Yes. Yes. I get it. Yep.
All right, so you worked there. You guys both went to college, yes? Okay.
Yes.
Did you meet each other in college, before college,
At
after
work.
college?
At work.
At work. Okay.
Blind date.
Oh, give me the year.
Oh no. 1989, maybe. So I was
Okay.
no spring chicken at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys both had very successful histories in the workforce, I'm assuming. Um, if I ask this inappropriately, don't answer it and we could cut it out. But you are angel investors in many projects. You have started your own business. Uh, is it family money? Were you both super successful in your, I mean, I think our listeners are always wanting to start something or invent something or start a candy bar, but that takes finances. Um, and I like to ask the nitty gritty stuff like, you have to have money to do this. So, tell us a little, tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, we both had corporate careers before we met, and as we met and married and worked together, we both worked for what is now GlaxoSmithKline. It was SmithKline Beecham at the time in Philadelphia. And I think the thing was we probably worked hard and didn't spend very much money. We
There's
had
the
what we
lesson
wanted.
right there.
There
There's
you
the
go.
lesson.
Yep. Yep. And when Toby was approached, I guess our first venture into entrepreneurship, Toby was approached by a former colleague about two young guys who were looking for a minor investment in their magazine so that they could get it off the printing press. And that was Mental
Mental floss.
Floss. And quite honestly, it is possible to launch a business on a shoestring budget. It really is. You hear about these ventures that are starting now that the owners pay themselves hundreds of thousands of dollars. We've never really gotten involved in businesses like that.
Sure.
We're more of the scrappy, let's see if we can make a go of this kind of people. And several of the businesses that we've worked in and have been involved in have been successful that way.
Let's
Yeah,
talk about Mental Floss. Tell me more. It's a magazine, but now it's online, right?
yeah.
It started as
You
a
both
magazine.
wait, time out. You both have the
Okay.
cutest little smiles on your faces. What is it about Mental Floss that makes you both smile and look at each other?
That was fun. That
It
Yeah.
was
was,
10 years of, we can't believe it happened. It grew from an idea to a national or an international business. And it's like, how did that happen? It's
So
like
people came to
remarkable.
you and asked you for a small investment.
Yeah.
right. It
Okay.
started like that, and two extremely capable young men are at the core of it. And Melanie and those two men, and we added an editor, et cetera, um, led to its success because we all had more than enough to do. And we worked like fools for 10 years, which is atypical. And then someone approached us to buy it. We weren't really trying to sell the company because we were enjoying it. And we negotiated with and reached something that we thought made sense. And we sold it to Felix Dennis, God rest his soul. He died a couple of years after he bought it. But it was a wonderful experience. And I would say to anyone thinking about a business, do it. If you possibly can, give it your best shot. And there's no embarrassment if something doesn't work or if you change. Pivot is the word, a lot of
Mhm.
times used. Oh, it was this. And Mental Floss started as an independent magazine and it grew into a media company where we had books, we had an online presence, we sold thousands and thousands of t-shirts, and we're flexible and adaptable and tried to capture. And the two guys behind it were brilliant, and they have gone on to pretty interesting careers because when we met them,
They were kids.
they
They're
were kids,
21 years old.
21 years
Yeah.
Oh
old,
my gosh.
and it was a fabulous relationship. The table that we're sitting at here in our house is where we conducted much of
The
our business.
boardroom.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
And it's funny because one day while we're here, Will got a phone call, and the phone call was from the current president of HarperCollins. And we both laughed, thinking, here's the chieftain of a major publishing house in the United States calling our little buddy to talk to him as he steps away from our kitchen table.
Oh my
And it was
gosh.
that kind of thing. But we just kept trying things and promoting it relentlessly.
Well, to
And
that point, I mean, a couple of things that stick out in my mind for Mental Floss were one Wednesday morning, I answered the phone and it was a really bad connection. And this woman said, "Hi, this is Teresa calling from the base station in Antarctica. We're sitting here reading Mental Floss magazine and we'd like to get a couple more copies." It's like, oh my God,
Oh my
this is
gosh.
halfway around the world. How did this happen?
Oh
And then
wow.
a friend of ours was traveling in Europe and he was in Germany in his hotel room and he's got CNN headline news on. And Will Pearson from Mental Floss Magazine is on CNN headline news and he had to call to tell us. It's like, oh my God,
Oh
there
my.
I was in Germany and there's Will. And to think that, four people and their dogs sort of started this thing that turned into this international business was just shocking to
What
us.
was the magazine about?
It,
Everything you wanted, you should have learned in school, but didn't.
it was a smart alecky trivia magazine, and it was full of educational information but presented in a smart alecky way.
Okay.
And it was, people liked it. In some ways, we were ahead of our times because of what you've seen now with clickbait and 5 reasons to do this or that. And it was intellectually engaging, but it was never pompous. And we discovered our audience was pretty broad, more than we thought to start. And
Teenage boys to 85-year-olds.
yes,
Oh
people,
wow.
Yeah, yeah,
and it was a wonderful
that was
experience.
fun.
And I don't know that we could have worked harder to make it happen, but we were lucky. And I think any entrepreneur who's truthful will admit luck is a part of it, that we filled a need. We got tremendous press play and coverage in national
Yeah.
publications and local publications. And it was just fun. And I don't regret 5 minutes that we
No.
spent doing it. And it pointed us in the direction of, well, startups and entrepreneurs could be fun. And
And that was part of it. I mean, it dawned on me there's joy in work.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I remember trudging across the parking lot at 4 in the morning in a snowstorm because we had 1,800 orders that had to go out that day. But those are the things you remember, not the boring, typical days where you just showed up at the office and
Sure. And
yes,
well,
I also think that it goes very much, Toby, with how you were saying um, that what you like with the dishwashing and you're taking something, you're working hard, and then there's an outcome. Again,
yes.
it's that's so awesome. Are there any other investing stories that, obviously some fail or some aren't so successful? Any of those on
Yes.
your plate?
oh
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely. I have one of the world's more expensive t-shirts because all that we got out of the investment was a t-shirt
with the name of the
with the name of
company.
the company on it. And it was a learning because it was 2 women who were really super bright, did many, many things well, extremely well, but they got caught up in things that they couldn't control. And the marketplace moved along and they weren't able to capture that.
The
And
manufacturer sent a defective part that was embedded into the product.
Oh,
And they just basically ran out of cash. It wasn't their fault.
right.
They did the best they could. They dealt with a reliable supplier, but it did them
it
in.
does,
It was heartbreaking
it does,
because they were incredibly capable people and the product was fabulous. But
yeah, that was a dog collar, very
a
sophisticated.
health monitor for dogs is what it was.
Okay.
And
Yes.
it
Okay.
was, and when it started, it was sort of ahead of its time and they were creating the market, but then they lost it because they got into the problems with the supplier. There is one other story, though, that's turned out well, that's local. Now, if you want to talk about Gordon and
Foxcast.
Foxcast.
So just as we had sold Mental Floss and we were winding down, we stayed on for a year and a half after it was sold. Toby was approached by Gordon Daly of Boxcast, a local live HD live video streaming company here in Cleveland, and they struck up a friendship. Toby is a master at PR and marketing, and Gordon was looking for a little bit of that. So he asked Toby if he would just sort of come to a meeting. And so Toby goes to a meeting, and of course, I go along because we're sort of joined at the hip on these ventures. And then they learn that I like operational kinds of things, and every startup needs help with getting their operational processes in place and so forth. So, one day a week turned into 2 days a week, turned into 5 days a week, turned into 7 days a week, turned into nights, turned into all
Yeah.
sorts of things. And 4.5 happy years later, we actually had to stage our retirement. Because we formally tried to back away, not to spend so much time with it, but it was impossible not to be
A
sucked
growing
into the
business.
activity of a growing business. So yeah, we had a retirement party at 4.5 years. But they're doing really well. There were probably 5 or 6 employees when we joined, invested and joined, and there are now
60,
60
or 70.
employees
Oh
or
my
so.
gosh.
Yeah, yeah,
And
it's
what do
doing
they
really
do?
well.
Yeah.
Live high definition video streaming. Believe it or not, their primary market is churches,
Okay,
because
makes sense.
it is such a simple solution. A church can simply set up a camera and a microphone, and it programs to pre-record at a certain time. There's editing capabilities and so forth, and these things are then broadcast on church websites. And it started as churches, and they morphed into like sports and some other arenas, but they found that churches really seem to be their
Sure.
niche. That's part of their core
So then
business.
do they buy you out or are you still like
We're,
how does that work?
We're still investors.
Okay.
we're still
Yeah,
investors. We
yeah.
we did um,
Have a one payout.
we did get rewarded for our because with most of the things we're interested in, it's at the beginnings because they're
Sure.
just getting started. And Gordon and he had two other co-founders, all case graduates, all with large IQs and big brains. Um, and we love working with Gordon, and we're still friends. That's the interesting thing. We're still friends with Will and Mangesh from Mental
Yeah.
Floss. And we tend to, invest in, they say, do you invest in the idea or the person? We weigh both things.
I think they're equally important.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and you have to, because they become very close, you're driven by the nature of the business. And there are some things we haven't invested in because we figured we couldn't easily work with the people. They would be too challenging on
That was
it.
my
And I don't
next
mean,
question, and he knows.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I think why we smiled about mental floss is because everything was so right about it. It was at the very beginning. It was Will and Mangesh who we loved from the start. It was a great idea. There was a place for all of us. All four skill sets were needed. And that doesn't happen all the time. That chemistry has got to come together just right. So if you run into even a good business idea, but you know that the chemistry wouldn't be there,
Mhm.
at least for us, that's not a good investment.
Yeah, I would think that it's not going to do it. Like I mean, you have to come together and work together and if
Yeah,
you're not feeling it,
right. And unlike some angel investors, we up until now have primarily invested in businesses that we could also help. So we like to have some level of involvement in the business, whether it's Toby's with his PR and marketing or me doing something from an operations standpoint. So, if we feel, and every now and then we might, I mean, we're North Coast Ventures and, we just invest in startups that way. But any of the personal investments that we make are in businesses where we think we might be able to be advisors, or like with Inez, a little bit more hands-on, and with Boxcast and
yeah.
obviously Mental Floss as well.
Well, and we try to help encourage any entrepreneur. And our rule is pretty much if somebody reaches out to us and says, I have an idea, would you meet with us to talk about it? Our answer almost always is yes. And we're happy to encourage and try to help someone with his or her idea. And we've met with pretty big number, I would say, in the past,
Dozens,
dozens of people.
perhaps bordering on hundreds.
Yeah,
but I'm
because
sure that some people don't want you guys as a like some people just want the money and they don't want we got it from here, thank you. And that sounds
yes,
like that's probably one that you would say, okay, well, that's not how this goes.
Right.
And
Yep. For us, that's fine. Other people, they don't really care. They just want to invest in a good idea and hopefully get
Sure.
a return from it. But for us, it's really more about the people and the relationships and the intellectual stimulation of trying to understand a different business and help out.
Yeah. All right. Well, we need to go back to the Toby bar because there's more to that that I love. So, and I do want to I want to read a quote. You went to St. Joseph's in Pennsylvania, and you guys were recognized. You got an award, the St. Joseph's Award, and they say it recognizes people ordinary lives in extraordinary ways. That's how you live. That's how you're recognized. How cool is that to I think grade school and high school are probably the times that you are shaped as a human. I think your brain is shaped when you're younger and throughout your whole life, but majority is, younger. But then the high school, grade school, like that to me is who makes the person. And these are just my opinions. How cool is it that I have no scientific anything on that quote, but how cool is it that you get recognized by your alma mater? I mean, that's gotta play pretty awesome in your heart.
well, I am eternally grateful that the Catholic school that I went to, despite what some people might think of Catholic schools as very regimented and very um, serious, it was all of that and more because the school was tiny. It didn't have a lot of physical resource. We were given tremendous freedom to try things. And any business success that I've had, I attribute a fair amount of it, obviously, on the home front, because I grew up in a house where work was expected, valued, all of that, but also the education that I got at St. Joe's. My classmates were pretty special, and we're still friends this many years later, but the school was small. The entire school, 4-year high school, had maybe 130 students. So my class was probably 30 some students, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
Right.
You had to show up, do your homework, play ball, all of that. And it taught me, I think, lifelong lessons that to this day are still apparent. The other thing for me growing up, and I look to my mother and father for allowing me to do this, when I was 16, I had read about Northwestern University's Journalism Institute. And I was interested in journalism, and I somehow, and I was surprised to this day, I'm still surprised, they let me in for the High School Journalism Institute. And I spent 5 or 6 weeks in Evanston, learning about journalism.
Oh, wow.
And it was an eye opener because there were other classmates from California. And, I'm this sort of country bumpkin from outside of Pittsburgh, meeting all of these kids and seeing that opportunity. And I can still remember what I was thinking when I was on an airplane flying to Chicago, thinking, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I'll give it my best shot. And that is sort of what I've tried to do with my life, that
Yeah.
we've been given tremendous opportunities. And I think giving back is part of that because we have been fortunate on many levels. And I am grateful for all the
That's your
opportunities.
being raised in the
It,
faith,
yeah,
you
it,
know.
it, it just,
I'm
it,
12
it's,
years of Catholic education as well. And
yes, yes.
you know those people. I'm sorry. Feel free, everybody, comment below. Go ahead. But you do. I can meet somebody and say you had some Catholic education. And that there's bad to everything. I'm gonna
Yeah,
say that too. So
yeah,
but you do. It's a and there's a difference, and it's also your parents. It's more
right.
your parents, and then filter in the faith part as well. But, if there's just something I can just look at anybody or talk to somebody for 5 minutes, and I can see an amazing mother or an incredible father behind that person, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And maybe
And
that's just because I had that. Toby Bar. Why wasn't it Melanie Bar, Melly Bar, or anything? Melanie, what happened there?
Oh, no, it was always Toby
I was
Bar.
going
I mean, from the very first idea of a chocolate bar, it was Toby Bar.
when's the
part of,
Melanie Bar coming out?
No,
yeah,
no, no, no. I have no desire.
If
Believe
okay,
it or not, I'm not a huge candy lover.
okay, so if we
chocolate.
were to make a Melanie Bar,
Uh-huh.
what would a Melanie Bar be?
Oh, a whole lot closer to a Baby Ruth.
Okay, some
Yeah,
peanuts in there.
chewy with a little crunchy and the caramel thrown in. Yeah.
Okay. Very similar to like you're a little crunchy, but you're smooth in the middle.
Yeah, and Melanie is, in all the ventures we've been involved in, much more grounded because I would be the person dreaming up, oh, we can do this or we could do
How
that.
are we going to pay for that?
Yeah, and Melanie will say, how many subscriptions do you have to sell to pay for that? But
Yeah.
she brings a very skilled operational sense that helps keep things in line. And I'd like to think what I bring is more of the, well, we could try this or we could do that.
The
And
ideas, the
yeah,
concepts, the people outreach, the yeah, that's
and
what
not
Toby does.
not being afraid, and I go back to whatever of failing because a lot of things don't work. And I think I learned fairly early on if plan A doesn't work, okay, go to plan B and don't be so hung up or so much of a perfectionist. The idea might not work. You're right. You don't want to bet the farm on everything. And with mental floss, we were cognizant of that, of not as it got bigger and bigger and bigger, but you would weigh, you didn't want to lose the original drive that got you there and risk taking. And for whatever reasons, I'm not incredibly risk averse, I don't think. And Melanie has a sense of humor. As you said with mental floss, you knew,
Yeah, I remember exactly when Toby said, "Oh, I got a phone call from a colleague today." It's like, "Oh, here we go."
What happens if you're both like me? Like I think I'm the dreamer and constantly thinking like I'll get up at 3, 4 in the morning and I'm taking my notes like, oh my gosh, I've got this idea, I want to do this or whatever. But I'm also the one that's like, oh, but how do we afford that? So I think I stop myself from a lot of things because I am that. I'm both. I'm
So
both.
I think that the two of us would live inside of you then, because Toby is the one with, yeah, let's go for it. And I'm at my desk crunching numbers. And I sort of
Yes.
slip some numbers in front of them. It's like, okay, is that worth it?
well, and I think I take a longer term view of things. I'm not so impatient. And things aren't going to work instantly. And I know with Toby Bar or with Mental Floss or with Boxcast or with Wag, I mean, any of the things we get involved with, you just have to take a longer term view and it may or may not work. And you do have to spend money sometimes to make money. And
Mhm.
when you have an advertising campaign, you don't know if it's going to work or not. It's gotten better in terms of measuring, but I lean much more in that direction. Or Melanie will say, what? You want to spend that much? I go, yeah, we want to grow the business. This is what you have to do. And I try to be
And then I'm the one who
reasonable.
tracks the results.
Yeah.
Any regrets, any opportunities that you said no to that you're like, ugh, I wish we would have done that.
Yeah, well, actually, there was one where the idea was just so fabulous. Honest to God, we won't name names and won't go into the product details, but it was a fabulous technology idea, like a hardware technology idea. But we found, both of us found that there was no way we could work with a person. he was a genius, but just scattered and all over the place. And there's no way that we could have done what we knew we could do for the business working with that guy.
Right. Was it called
So to this,
Bitcoin?
No,
no, no, is in fact it is going now, but I think that it could have been a whole lot more with perhaps some different leadership. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
and,
So
and
that's a regret, but I mean that's okay.
and I think for us, part of learning is learning what you don't know, but being open to suggestions. And we tend to gravitate, I would say, at least for me, and I think you can speak for yourself, things that we understand. If I truly can't understand what your business is, I'm less likely or less inclined to be involved. And I know there's some things that, are beyond my capabilities. They could be good investments, but I can't evaluate
Right.
in any thoughtful
And
way.
we certainly couldn't add any value.
Right.
Right. Well, that's kind of cool because, again, that goes back with the point of you guys always investing in the person and the idea, whereas somebody that just invests in the idea to make money, that wouldn't matter too much to them,
Right,
you
right.
And
know?
in some cases, we've invested more in a person because we know the person well, we have worked with them, we respect them enormously. They have a good idea in a competitive field, but we think they have the goods and their tenacity and
Then there are
strength.
times do we know there's not going to be a great return. There might not be any return, but the person needs a little bit of something right now, and yeah, we can help.
That's
So
awesome.
we do that sometimes too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And speaking of giving back, the Toby bar, which I keep going back to it, you guys, because I love chocolate. I feel, first of all, I feel like we need to get these into my mini bars at the inn. That's
Oh,
that's
we
Oh,
would
we can
love.
do
number
that for
one.
you.
So I'm going
Sure.
to talk to you about. So folks, coming soon. You heard it here
Yeah.
on the mini bars because I try to curate a pretty cool. I worked with, I curated with David from Buoyant Chocolates,
Ah,
and he made us a pumpkin roll candy bar and a kind of an overnight candy bar. So we have those on our mini bar. So I try to do local things. So I think these would be great. So we're going to talk about, we're going to do that. But a portion of this goes to a certain kind of dog, an Airedale.
and you might
Um,
have heard her barking in the
Yeah, God,
background.
yes,
yes, yes. So
yes.
obviously because it's your breed, that's why you chose I don't know much about an Airedale, so tell me a little
If
bit
you,
about that.
if you had a month or two, I could fill it. It started early in my life. Um, my mother was a big Airedale fan, and growing up, we always had one or two Airedales. And it was back in the era where I grew up, small town outside of Pittsburgh. Your dog would go with you,
Hmm.
and your buddies would bring their dogs. And I don't know that we observe protocol as much as you do today with everything, but they were a big part of my life. And my father was not so much a dog fan, but he realized, counting siblings, my mother, the vote would always be 5-1 if he ever indicated less than ideal feelings about the dogs. So they've been a big part of my life. It's the only way I know how to spell dog. My first paycheck after high school went to purchase a second Airedale for my father as a joke. And then my mother saying, Bill, act like you're excited about this. And he did adapt enough. But fortunately, in marrying Melanie, she quickly fell under the spell of
Yeah.
Airedales.
When we finally stopped traveling a lot in corporate life, we decided it was time for a dog. And of course, the only dog we would get is an Airedale. So Murphy was our first, and Leo was our second. And now we have Casey. Casey came to us when she was 8 years old. Sadly, her previous person needed to go into assisted living and couldn't keep
Oh,
her. But she is kind and gentle and smart and just the best dog we've ever had. She is just wonderful.
And she agreed. We said, Casey, do you mind if we feature you and the breed, and Airedale Rescue has
There it
been
is.
very good to us.
There's
Yeah,
Casey.
there's Casey in all of her glory. And Airedale Rescue has been fabulous because we will give, and I said to Airedale Rescue, we'll announce on September 13th, our first anniversary, the day of the launch, our donation. And we've supported Airedale Rescue for years because we're so grateful because we've gotten wonderful dogs and the people working there
All
are
volunteers, but they're
all
so
volunteers.
serious about taking care of the breed.
Is
So
it
it's just
local? Where are they at?
it is a regional organization. So they're in
Midwest,
the
13 states.
Midwest and Ontario, I believe.
Yeah, it's 12
Yes.
or
Yeah.
13 states. And
Interestingly, Casey, we picked her up in Dayton, Ohio. Little did we know that she had lived her life on the west side of Cleveland.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but
yeah,
the Airedale rescue person that could take her at the time was located in Dayton, and so that's where we actually went to get her. And it
Oh,
was only after that we found out that she was local.
oh my
she's
God.
also
But a
the
West Sider though. I mean,
Yeah.
she's the first, and it wasn't intentional, I don't think, but she's the first girl Airedale we ever had. And I have to admit, she by far is the smartest, most capable, nicest dog. Because some Airedales have a big boy attitude, and we've
okay.
owned some of them where it would take both of us holding on to the leash if
Well, with
yeah,
Murphy, I spent more of my time on my belly and knees than I did on my feet walking him. Yeah.
yes, yes,
He would take you down.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes,
Oh,
that's
heavens, yes, he did
oh,
regularly. And Casey is just a perfect lady. She's fabulous.
oh,
it's been a true joy, and we're so happy to be able to support something that brings joy. The Airedale popularity was in, I think, its peak in the 1920s, and President Harding had an Airedale named Laddie. If you Googled Laddie, he was one of the first, I think, dogs to be a political prop. He would go to the cabinet meetings, he had his own chair, and that's when my mother would be growing up. And
Mhm.
they were much more uh, popular and well known. They're not as well known now, I don't think.
no.
No, no,
But
you don't
that
see very many of them.
probably put a that she probably felt presidential with that
Yes.
type of dog. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I
Again,
had a
influenced as a child.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. And they have been, I mean, there was a story done about them in a magazine that went out of business. It was the cover story that Airedales have all the qualities you look for in a spouse. They're smart, they're stubborn, they're independent, they're all of this. And William Wegman, you may know his work with the Weinreiners, photographer, did the cover story. And we just read it out loud and laugh because
Yeah,
it's true.
So
yeah,
true.
yeah.
All right, whose idea was it to put the little tongue and
Okay, so here's another.
I love
You
it.
might get through some of the conversation. One of the things we enjoy the most are the people relationships. That was created by Mandy Lamb, who is our designer, and we first met Mandy when we were working with Metal Floss.
Oh
So
my God.
she helped us back in 2001, 2002. And then she actually designed the Boxcast logo when we moved to Boxcast. And we needed a logo and some branding for this. And we said, let's call Mandy. And so that, again, has been a real joy, to maintain those relationships throughout the year.
Yeah, I say that to my girls, and now my grandkids all the time is that everybody will come back in your life in some way. And do you want to be remembered by that person in a good way or a bad way? And I even go further and I say, what happens if that person that you're not so nice to designs or invents the pill that will cure cancer? Do
Yeah.
you want to be the one that tortured them during high school?
Yeah.
Or do you want to be
Right.
the one who was friends with them because you're going to get a pill then? So,
Yeah.
they will come back. They will every time. My girls they're older now, and they'll call and be like, "Oh, guess who I ran into now?" And I was like, "You were nice to them, weren't you?"
Yep. Oh,
Thank
that's
goodness.
so true. And even with the Toby bar, so Toby's getting all sorts of publicity all over the place for this. And he got an email from somebody that he played Little League with about 70 years ago, had not heard from that person or even thought of that person in all that time. And the person saw an article in the local paper about launching Toby Bar, and he actually reached out to him.
I love
We
that.
ran an ad, and some friends that we had lost touch with about 20 years ago who lived all over the country, they're now in Ann Arbor. They somehow saw that ad and reached out. So
Oh my
you're right, Molly. It all comes
It
back.
comes back. Are you running them in Pennsylvania because there's such a connection to,
It was a newspaper article in Pennsylvania.
yeah,
So yes,
Yeah.
and it was an ad locally, but they just happened to subscribe to a local newspaper, these other
that's
friends.
so crazy.
Yeah,
I'd say the
yeah.
other thing with the designer that Melanie referenced, um, Mandy lives in Georgia, in Chattanooga, suburban Chattanooga, which is the borderline with Georgia. She is a very gifted, I think, designer. And it's more of a partnership. If you go on our website, you would see her listed as part of our team with her full support. And it is more of a partnership because we can go to her and say, hey, Mandy, can you help us figure this out or that problem? And I would echo Melanie's feeling. We're generally not one and done. If you're somebody that's good at what you do, I happily write any checks to her because she's good. She's
Sure.
done, and she gave us all these choices, and she's not a prima donna or any
Yeah,
of that to deal with.
yeah,
It's a
Yeah,
pleasure.
it's
yeah.
clean and attractive and I love the little lick.
Yeah,
Yes, yes. Interestingly, we've never met Mandy in person.
it's
However,
all been
I
long
love
distance.
road trips, and our next road trip is going to be through some of those small Midwesternish kind of cities,
Yes.
and Chattanooga is going to be on the list, and we're going to have lunch with
I
Mandy.
have been to Chattanooga.
Have
Yeah,
you? Oh,
Yes.
we'll have to talk
Yeah,
about what
which
we should
is
do when we're
I
down
will
there.
my viewers know I don't fly. So for the fact that I've been somewhere is that's saying a lot.
yeah.
Um, but when my dad died, every year after that, my mother, I mean, God bless her soul, she was a widow. We were two, four, six, and eight. That was the ages. She would rent a Winnebago and
Wow.
put us all in the Winnebago. We would go for the summer and take a summer trip. Isn't
Oh,
that crazy?
lovely.
Every year,
Yeah.
I have been to Chattanooga, which is crazy that I can say that because I have
Well,
not
I'll
been
let
in
you
any.
know when we make it.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
Yeah, yeah.
love
yeah.
that. What's next? Like you're just doing the tour, the world tour for the Toby Bar.
Oh,
Um,
speaking of world tour,
yes.
so we just got back from a Danube cruise with our friend and neighbor and sister-in-law.
What is
And of
that?
course, Toby, oh, it was lovely. It's
Yeah.
just a
Wouldn't
river cruise
change a
down the
thing.
Danube. It was
Wow.
absolutely perfect. But of course, Toby has to take Toby bars with
I'm
him.
A
So
excited.
handful.
he's handing out Toby bars to people along the way. And we are flying back. We're in the Budapest airport. And there was a woman we're in the lounge, and there was a woman there who was very kind to us, checking in because my app wasn't working properly and all that. So Toby goes over to thank her with his last remaining Toby bar. Well, a few minutes later, she comes over and she tells us that not only has she friended us on Facebook, but she has signed up for our newsletter. She has already checked out the website.
I
So we have our first
love
international
Budapest. Oh
fan.
my
Yeah,
Helen.
yeah.
gosh. I love
Helen
and
from Budapest.
what's her name?
Her name is Helen.
Hi, Helen
And
from Budapest.
hi, Helen.
Helen, will you do me a favor? Will you follow a piece of Molly's mind so that I can
Yeah,
have my first Budapest
yeah.
follower?
Well,
Um,
we're going to put Helen in our next newsletter. So maybe if we reference this,
I
We
would
took
love
she'll
it.
hook onto that
we
as
took her
well.
picture, and Melanie's not overstating at all, I don't think, how gracious Helen was in what could just be a transaction. This woman went out of her way, very patiently solving,
Yep.
fixing the
See,
challenge.
it's not hard, folks. It's really not
Yeah.
No,
hard, and it's
no.
what we're
And
here for.
and it really is, it's all about the people. I mean, if you
Yeah,
listen to what we've been talking about, that's the important part. It's
it
almost like a
is.
fabric with these various threads that just kind of weave together.
Yeah.
And in ways that you might not understand, some of these people become really important in your lives and really meaningful in your life.
Hmm. And Helen's gonna lose her mind when she finds out that not only is she in the newsletter, but you're talking about her on a podcast. She's gonna lose her
Right.
mind. So,
Exactly. All right. So we'll get this to Helen.
well, yeah, because we're gonna post it on your Facebook page, and then she's gonna
Good.
watch it because
Yes.
she's a
Yes.
follower. All right. So what is next other than the Toby? Do we have anything in the hopper that we could talk about?
I would like to travel a little more.
Mm.
Melanie wants to travel.
Where
I
do we want to
enjoy,
go?
Anywhere. I
Okay.
love I love road trips. We did a wonderful road trip through, believe it or not, Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas several years back. And it was fascinating, where you just drive 4 or 5 hours a day. You stop at local restaurants, you stop in smaller towns. And it's just a wonderful way to sort of get to know the rest of the country. So I'd like to do a few more road trips. We're thinking perhaps another river cruise, only because it worked so well with our traveling companions. So that
Okay.
might be in the offing for later this fall.
and then Melanie tries to quiet me when I say, because people have asked, are you going to have a dark chocolate Toby bar?
Oh,
Or are you going to do this or that?
The
And
complexity is
yeah,
mind-boggling.
and I would say, and we're very pleased with the maker in Struthers, Ohio, Gianos.
Yeah, they're doing a great job for us. So,
is it their chocolate?
it
Yeah,
is. But
Yeah. Oh,
we worked with them to ensure it was to our specifications.
yeah.
yeah. Bravo. Because I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, it's the chocolate is phenomenal.
Yeah. Carly and Inez from Sweet Designs were instrumental in helping ensure that the product is as good as it
Yeah,
is.
and Carly is a person who um, we hire as an advisor because she knows so much about chocolate and she
Hmm.
knows so much about the complexity of approval and all that. And the Toby Bar would not exist without her help and Inez's
Right.
help. They're both fully supportive and they sell a fair amount of it at Sweet Designs,
Mhm.
Oh
which
yeah.
we're grateful because somebody comes in for chocolate. While they're there, they see the Toby Bar and
And if she didn't approve of the quality, she would
yeah,
not be
yeah,
selling it in the store.
Sure.
yeah.
Sure.
That's
Well,
an
Yeah.
endorsement.
Well, when you need that somebody for taste testing, I can get paid by the product.
We
Yeah,
know where to find you.
yes, we do. Boy, I
Although
appreciate you.
that's the
You
only fear of having it on the mini bar. That's what I'm thinking. Like, crap, that means I could just go and get anytime.
pure delight in every bite. We did secure the trademark for that, and that's something over time I would emphasize.
Mhm.
Because why should you buy it? Well, it's pretty tasty, and it's for the average person. It's not
Yes.
high-end European. It's somebody that wants a little treat, and that's why I think your idea in terms of the inn is something I'm investigating, a whole nother distribution channel through hotels, inns, etc., because we think it could be a nice turn down item. And that's something I've just really started to
Yeah.
investigate. And there are
Well,
firms that do that.
we'd like to be the first. So,
Oh,
but
Excellent.
it
that
would
would be
be the
wonderful.
bag. Like it'll be the whole
Yeah,
bag will go on our
yeah,
mini bar.
Sure.
Um,
fabulous.
that's how it
And when
rolls.
you are desperate at 10 o'clock at
That's
night,
right.
When
yes.
That's
you're on
right. All
vacation or
those
Mhm.
you're on
all
treat.
those M Bevy visitors at the
Yeah.
bar. I always like to finish my interviews. Well, first of all, where can we find you? A website? If somebody
Okay,
wants.
so tobybar.com. And on tobybar.com, not only can you buy the product, but it lists all of the local retailers. There we go. All the local retailers where the product is available, including Patterson Fruit Farm, Lemon Falls, Chuck's Fine Wines, Chagrin Pet and Garden, Krieger's Market, and a number of locations on the West Side.
Oh, and coming soon to the
Coming
Industry Bread
soon.
mini bar.
Exactly. Exactly.
We'll
So
get
did
you
we
those.
choose some West Side just because of our baby, our fur
Well,
baby?
no. Inez's chocolate shop is over
Oh,
on the
that's
west
true.
side in Lakewood, and Carly is based there, and she is our west side sales representative.
I love
So
it.
Another
she's
skill set.
drumming up retailers over on that side. So,
And do you guys, because it's no easy task to get into some of these places. There's some hoops and that you got to jump through and stuff. Is that your jobs is to go to these places, or do you have
that
a
would be
sales?
my job on the east side and Carly's job on the west. And
Okay.
quite honestly, we're surprised how receptive people are to taking the bar. We'll bring in a sample packet and a sell sheet and some information. And I would say I've got probably a 90% success rate with people saying, sure, we'll try it. And many of our initial customers have already reordered several times. So we're thrilled
Yeah.
with it.
Well, if you
Um,
go in with a sample, I mean,
well, that's true. That's
yeah.
true. And we like smaller local retailers. We are certainly not ready and may never be ready for broader distribution. This is more a labor of love and just something to keep us intellectually engaged. Um, and it's wonderful meeting some of the shop owners. And, obviously we're kindred spirits. Anybody who knows retail, the
Sure.
trials and tribulations of it. So, that's part of the fun as well, just meeting some of these local retailers and hearing their stories and, hopefully supporting their business by providing another product for them to sell.
So this is really just because of your love, Toby. You're not hoping to make $1 million on this. You're really just you wanted to make your damn candy bar from when you were a child.
Right.
Yeah. We're not spring chickens any longer, but we like to stay engaged in things. And so we sat around, we thought, what do we really love? We love businesses. Toby especially loves chocolate bars and we love Airedales. So it's like, how can we bring all these things
Perfect.
together? And
Yeah.
they all came together in this. So, yep.
That's
Yeah, it's been great
fantastic.
fun. And
Yeah.
thank
All
you
right.
for
So I always like to end up with some rapid fire questions. If you would like to participate in that. Oh,
Okay.
it's time. All right. Who said I love you first?
Hmm. Those words. I can't
It
remember.
obviously was very memorable, folks.
yes.
Actually, I knew first that I was going to marry him. It was on our second date.
Okay. And do you
Okay.
guys
So
have
we're
kids?
no
No
kids.
kids. Well, you're
No.
Just
fur
the dog.
babies.
Right. So
Yeah.
right. So no, we met, and on our second date, I decided that yep, we're gonna get married, and that was in January of whatever year it was, and it took him until April
Oh,
to.
Toby.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know
Uh,
he's a little slower.
I was glad that Melanie didn't share that with me. I might have been going the other
right.
way.
True.
Mhm.
Who's more stubborn?
He doesn't seem it, but it's him. He,
Okay.
honest to God, he gets dug in on issues, and there's no change in his mind.
I
Uh,
I would use an adjective, tenacious.
okay.
Hmm.
Yes,
Well, you know
stubborn.
what, Toby? When you host your own podcast, you can use that word, but I used
Yeah.
stubborn.
Thank you,
All right. Who has the better memory?
Toby. We've got different kinds of intelligence. And I think that his is a better memory for facts, for details, for those kinds of things.
Okay. And this is a fun one. Who's more likely to sneak a treat? Oh my gosh.
I don't know about that.
I see him sneaking a few Toby bars every now and then. And I can't remember when the last time was I had one.
Ah, that's so funny.
Although ice cream with dinner is a downfall.
Oh,
Yeah.
we
Tillamook ice cream.
If you
Oh,
haven't had
uh,
Tillamook, you
oh.
owe it to yourself.
And
so
salted caramel pretzel is back. You have to try it.
where is that?
Salted caramel pretzel, Tillamook ice cream. You can get it at Heinen's.
Yeah,
Oh,
Melanie is an
interesting.
enormous Tillamook
Yeah.
fan.
Okay, well, if you are at the Inn of Chagrin, in addition to the Toby bar that's coming soon, we have just yesterday I picked up our ice cream. We partner with Civic Dairy Island, and we have
Ooh,
so at 7 o'clock you get a text asking if you have a sweet treat tooth or a sweet tooth, and we'll bring you a waffle cone and three different syrups, and then we have. Let's see, this year it's butter pecan, mint chocolate chip, or Rocky Road. So there
fabulous.
you go.
What a nice idea. Their ice cream is great.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best. All
Yeah,
right. And then this is the question I ask everybody. If you were at a dinner and you could invite two people, dead or alive, and you both may have two people, who would you invite? Anybody. You don't have to know
Oh,
them,
no.
dead or alive.
Orville and Wilbur Wright, one of the Wright brothers. I'll take them as one.
Okay.
And Beethoven.
Wow. That's a table.
Toby?
I would invite John Updike and I
Mm.
would invite Elvis.
How fun. How fun. Well, folks, this has been a joy.
It's
Well,
always
thank you.
good to see you again.
Oh, stop
Yes.
Well,
over anytime. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so
thank you
much.
so
And
much.
folks, if you want a Toby bar, and if you're not staying at the inn, make sure you head on to tobybar.com. Yes. And you can find a location. You're in about 17, I think
That's right.
somewhere
It's up to
in that
Yep.
20, isn't it?
area.
Might be up to
Um,
20 now.
Yeah.
yes, sir. That's right. Well,
Might be up to
folks,
20.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being a piece of on a piece of Molly's mind.
Thanks,
Thank
Molly.
you. It
Good
was a
talking to
pleasure.
you.
Have a great day. We'll see you all.
Thanks.
Thanks.
You too.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.